tutasimama mpaka watu wote wa Lamu wapate haki zao.
Tuwe na tume, independent commission of inquiry, kuangalia yale yalitendeka Lamu na yale yanatendeka katika sehemu zingine za Kenya kuhusu ukosefu wa usalama.
Temporary reprieve for Governor Timamy, but opposition claims witch hunt.
Opposition trying to even give Al-Shabaab some energy to show that there is a problem of insecurity. Wakenya mpaka tukatae hiyo.
A cry from Olelengu, just who is in charge of the security docket.
And do you have your card ready? No more cash for PSV rides.
Also tonight, survival on the island, tales of Rusinga fishermen.
This is KTN Prime with Linda Ogutu and Ben Katili.
Hello there and well, thank you for joining us. This is KTN Prime on this 30th day of June 2014, the last day of this financial year.
Indeed, and we begin tonight in Mombasa, where a section of leaders are now alleging a political witch hunt in the arrest of Lamu Governor Issa Timamy.
Timamy was today released on a cash bail of 5 million Kenya shillings 5 days after he was arrested.
Timamy, who is yet to be charged, is being investigated in connection with the death and destruction in Peketoni 3 weeks ago. Our senior coast reporter Ferdinand Omondi has the details.
Issa Timamy walked into a packed High Court chamber looking drained but jovial. After 5 nights as a remandee, it was time for the judge to decide whether he deserved bail or not.
I find no good reason to continue holding the respondent in custody.
Timam was held pending investigations for terrorism, murder and forceful transfer of persons in the aftermath of the mayhem in Peketoni that claimed at least 65 lives slightly over 2 weeks ago. Prosecution was seeking to hold him in custody for another 14 days, but the judge dismissed myriad of reasons fronted, among which was possible interference with investigations.
The argument that the respondent will interfere with witnesses can be countered by the fact that the state is at liberty to make an application under the Witness Protection Act.
The court released Timamy on a bond of 20 million shillings plus 2 sureties of a similar amount, or a cash bail of 5 million. He opted for the bail, and within 2 hours he was a free man and received a rapturous welcome. Timamy is adamant that he is being prosecuted for his stand on equality for all people of Lamu County, a stand his party leader supports.
Watu wote wa Lamu wafanyiwe haki. Hiyo naamini mimi hilo si kosa. Na ikiwa kusimamia watu kupata haki zao ni kosa, basi wanirudishe nifungwe.
Wale ambao wanamsinzia ukiangalia ni wale pia ndio wanatoa ushahidi kwa petition ya kumtoa Mheshimiwa Timam. Kwa hivyo it is a syndicate, it is programmed. Ni watu wamewekwa kwa choir, yani nenda mkaimbe, wewe utaimba alto, wewe utaimba soprano, na wewe utaimba bass.
The court coalition joined the bandwagon forcefully, accusing the country's commander-in-chief of failing to protect his people and instead taking on an innocent man.
Wewe una uwezo wa kiserikali, wewe ni rais, wewe uko na director general wa NSIS, uko sijui na polisi, na umemwachia Issa Timamy paka akapanga alivyopanga, basi wewe wafanya nini katika urais?
Hiyo ni kuonyesha kwamba hatuna jeshi, hatuna polisi, na Uhuru lazima ajue ya kwamba hiyo title ambayo anayo ya amri jeshi ni title ambayo haifai.
Mombasa Women's Rep May Shimboko, who has Orengo as her lead counsel, also received a temporary reprieve after being released on a cash bail of 200,000 shillings following incitement charges, which she denies.
Na sitababaishwa, sitatishwa, kama ni ukabila nitaupinga na nitaendelea kuupinga.
The ongoing cases appear to have galvanized leaders from different loyalties in what they interpret as a calculated political witch hunt. They vow to stick together against what they described as a common enemy.
Kuna wenzetu wa code, sisi tuko kwa Amani Coalition, lakini mtu akidhulumiwa tuko pamoja.
na sisi tumesimama na Governor Issa Timamy, na hata leo tuna tume ya mawakili ambao watasimamia hiyo kesi kwa niaba ya baraza la magavana.
Tutamtetea Issa Timamy, tutamtetea Mama Mishi kwa uwezo wetu wote kisheria, kihali na mali.
Coastal leaders are also giving a strong assurance to Madam Mboko and Timamy that will never walk alone.
Wakenya wanataka kujua kilichofanyika Lamu, na tutaki kwamba watu innocent walikufa kisha watu innocent wafungwe.
Kama watagusa Lamu, basi waguse Mombasa, waguse Kwale, waguse Taita, waguse Kilifi, manake tuko tayari.
Tumesimama na ndugu yetu kama viongozi wote wa pwani. Yoyote ambaye hayuko hapa ni mrongo, yuko kivyake.
For now, the two politicians walk free, with the governor still waiting to hear what charges will ultimately be preferred against him. In the meantime, coast leaders are giving a face of unity in what they perceive as a calculated political assault against which they say they are prepared to fight. Ferdinand Omondi, KTN, Mombasa.
Now, Timamy's release comes in the wake of yet another confusing turn of events in the docket of Joseph Olelenku. The Interior Cabinet Secretary puzzled many yesterday when he lamented over some people he called former leaders. Olelenku claims that these unnamed leaders are recruiting members of the Mungiki sect and the Mombasa Republican Council to take part in chaos in the country. So just who is in charge of the country's security? KTN's Edith Kimani takes a closer look.
Emboldened by a cheering congregation, Cabinet Secretary Joseph Olelenku became a different man. The cautious rhetoric he has come to be known for was gone, and in its place was this deliberate, sharp, and brazen claim.
When we see opposition preparing Mungiki to advance their agenda, opposition trying to use MRC to undermine security, or even opposition trying to even give al-Shabaab some energy to show that there is a problem of insecurity. Wakenya mpaka tukatae hiyo.
That message was enough to bring the church he was addressing to a still silence. But Lenku has simply altered his delivery method. The message that politics is squarely to blame for Kenya's security woes was conceived after Mpeketoni, when a then hesitant Lenku issued this warning.
Whether this is linked to politics or not is something that is yet to be verified, but we don't rule it out. Those engaging in incitement of public will be firmly dealt with in accordance with the law.
Lenku's renewed allegations against these amorphous politicians raise one vital question. If Lenku is certain politicians are committing the alleged crimes, why have they not been arrested?
Kuja kusema siasa haongei siasa. Siasa saa ngapi? Usalama wa taifa is our top priority.
Lenku anafanya kazi na askari ambaye imeoza. Unaona? Yako hapa juu lakini yuko chini imeoza. Sasa anatoa amri lakini haifanyiki.
With the political footprint on the security issue increasing by the day, Lenku may find it increasingly difficult to the Pied Piper. As it is, his allegations stand as just that, allegations. Observers, however, warn that more than politics, Lenku's allegations risk injecting fear and igniting insecurity in the country.
Mani Olelenku naye pia anasikia hata anaweza wachana na hiyo kazi aone atowapatie mtu mwingine, kwa sababu hao wanaotingisha ni kama kuna mahali wanajua pamelegea.
But that doesn't seem to feature in Lenku's list of concerns.
Tunaona hii sabasaba na hii makelele tunayasikia ni lengo ya kutoa community moja kugonganisha na community zingine za Kenya. Na kama serikali hatuwezi kubali hiyo.
His has been a story of assurances and unnamed politicians who he says government will deal with. Edith Kimani, KTN.
Right, let's now focus on a story that will affect so many Kenyans come tomorrow morning. We are shifting our attention to the roads now, and the clock is ticking on matatu operators who must have a cashless payment system in place by midnight. The government says no matatu will be allowed to operate tomorrow if they have not installed the new card system. But as Mercy Kandia now reports, even you, the commuter, will not be able to travel if you haven't got your card yet.
Every day, Paul Kwambai, a matatu driver in Eldoret, plies the Eldoret-Chepkoilel route, and every day is a routine. He does the driving while his conductor collects the cash, and when there is no change, the commuters assist when they can. The cashless PSV system is hoping to sort this issue, among others, like taking of bribe by the police. However, as the Tuesday deadline approaches, neither Paul nor others at the Eldoret Matatu terminus have the right information of how the cashless system works.
Namba dereva, makondakta, abiria hata wenyewe hawana habari. Abiria tumewaleta leo hata hawajai uliza au ulizi hata wako tu kawaida, hata kesho utakuta tu abiria wako kawaida.
Saa zingine tunaendanga mpaka tunachanganyikiwa kurudishiwa change ama kurudishia customer change. So nimeomba tupewe muda alafu tupate kujitayarisha tu.
The cashless pay gadgets cost about 30,000 shillings, a requirement for every public service vehicle and for the commuters too to get a card. The Matatu Welfare Association and the PSV owners say they want more time, however, to implement this.
Kwa sababu story ya kwanza hatujui utapata mshahara yetu. Ya pili, hata kama ni mshahara tunapewa so tatu, baadhi yetu ukiangalia economy ya saibu wana hii economy ni kali. So kuna vile yenyewe tunajaribu kutafuta njia nyingine hivi. Unaelewa, yani hata nikwambie kitu kama hiyo.
The drivers here and passengers go about their business, many supporting the initiative, with the majority here, however, thinking it was an initiative for Nairobi only.
Kwa sababu saa zingine unaweza pea watu pesa, usahau nini, akurudishie change, unatoka ukimwambia baadaye anakuambia huku nipea pesa fulani. Sasa heri kadi tu unapeana tu.
Ana kadi ni sawa, because hata nikose fare najua nitafika mahali nataka kwenda, so ni advantage kwangu.
The maximum fine proposed for failing to comply is 100,000 shillings or imprisonment not exceeding 1 year. So far, there are 3 electronic cards available: Abiria card operated by KCB and Kenya Bus Service, Beba Pay by Equity Bank, and the 1963 G-Nice card operated by Matatu Owners Association. Paul says as far as he is concerned, tomorrow will be the same routine, same pay system.
The passengers in this matatu that we talked to are in support of the new card system, but there is very little information, even among the conductors, of how this new card system works. So there is a lot of information that is needed, especially in the counties, of how this card system operates. Mercy Kandia, KTN, Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County.
So Nairobi is said to be the pilot for this system, and with over 3 million Kenyans living in the capital alone, that is set to affect many Kenyans. And on the big question we are asking you, should the government extend the time for implementing the PSV cashless system?
Let us know what you think. You can send a short message to the number 22155. You can tweet at Ben Kitele, at Linda Ogutu, at KTN Kenya. We'd love to know what you think. Our hashtag is cashless matatus. Let us know what you think on that particular topic. Now, the move by the government is only the latest attempt at bringing sanity to a sector that is synonymous with disorder and rule of the jungle. Former Transport Minister, the late John Mishuki, began a cleanup exercise of the industry in 2003 with the introduction of what came to be known as Mishuki rules. But as Wilson Buru now reports, real order in the sector remains elusive 11 years on.
In 2003, then Transport Minister, the late John Njoroge Michuki, ordered the industry to make several changes that would make public transport both safe and comfortable. Michuki ordered all public vehicles to be fitted with safety belts and speed governors to help reduce the ever-increasing number of accidents on Kenyan roads. He also directed matatu owners to paint their PSVs with a yellow line that would be used to distinguish them from private cars and to get rid of all the fancy exterior graphics on their vehicles.
The fact that there's still shortage of matatu should not be seen as a problem. I don't know how many times I have to repeat this. This is not a problem. It is an opportunity for investment.
The Michuki rules were implemented despite opposition from matatu owners and operators who said that the laws were unrealistic. However, after Michuki was transferred from the ministry, matatus reverted to their old habits, prompting the government to come up with fresh regulations. In 2010, the government banned the entry of 14-seater matatus inside the Nairobi CBD, only allowing buses to operate in the area. This, as was explained, was aimed at decongesting the city centre. Last year, the Traffic Amendment Act of 2012 came into effect, and with it, stiffer penalties for offenders and introduces other regulations to curb road accidents caused by human error. For instance, overspeeding for a first-time offender would earn him or her a fine of up to 100,000 shillings. Drunk driving would attract 10 years in jail or a fine of 500,000 shillings, or even both, while motorists who drive on pavements or pedestrian walkways would be jailed for 3 months or a fine of 30,000 shillings, or both. Reckless and dangerous driving will attract 100,000 shillings in fines or 2 years in jail for a first offender. This year, Transport Cabinet Secretary Engineer Michael Kamau banned night travel for all buses travelling up country until the buses met safety standards set by the ministry. Last month, the ministry awarded night travel licenses to 7 bus companies that met the standards. With this latest attempt by the government to introduce a cashless system, commuters will be hoping that this will consequently improve security on public service vehicles as government seeks to streamline matatu industry in the country. Wilson Bururu, KTN, Nairobi.
There are roughly 20,000 public service vehicles in the capital, Nairobi, and we shall be seeing how that goes. And in studio to just shed more light on that is the chairman of the Matatu Owners Association, Simon Kimutai, and the Director General of the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, Francis Meja. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Mr. Chairman. The National Transport and Safety Authority regulations were gazetted more than 6 months ago. Why do you need more time?
Well, there were new regulations that came in about 2 weeks ago that required all service providers to be able to be registered by Central Bank, which is yet to be done. But already we have braced ourselves to getting into the system because we know the benefits of it. We discussed this and we ratified it, and we believe we own this and we have to own the process too.
Yes, and the matatu owners, as you say, are the people who are set, or the group of people who are set to benefit from this massively. And you were praising it a few weeks ago, and it seems now that like you are criticizing it a lot.
No, we are not backtracking. You should get it clearly. We actually even give we gave recommendation to have this because matatus lose not less than 30% revenue at the end of each day, and this system will allow us to maybe get about 27 more. That would make about 97 after commissions are removed by the service providers. So this is a benefit to public transport investors, and we are not actually against it. We like it, we'll embrace it. It's only that we have a few challenges from the service providers. You know, it's technical and it requires actually some time to make it work, and I believe Major will agree with me that the small challenges will be because we've run the test runs, and we are getting there. It's only that there are a few delays here and there.
Mr. Director General, do you think some of the concerns raised by the matatu owners and the matatu welfare associations are valid?
Well, to begin with, let me say this, that indeed it is an opportune time that we transit this industry to the next level. We are very happy. I must congratulate Mr. Kimutai and his team for embracing these reforms. Indeed, the matatu business or the PSV business people themselves were the ones who initiated this process. If you look at the long-distance matatu operators, They were the first ones actually to introduce a cashless system of fare collection. You would board a matatu in Eldoret, pay, and retain the money in the office, and the vehicle travels free. For commuter services, yes, we know there are few challenges here and there. One of the things that we must ensure that happens is the interoperability of the gadgets that will be used, so that it does not become cumbersome for somebody to have several cards, and we want a common device that accepts all cards across the board.
So one of the concerns being raised is that there's not enough sufficient awareness by members of the public, commuters. So what happens tomorrow? I want to go to town and I don't even know what is happening, and it takes effect tomorrow.
Yes, I think this is what happens. These regulations have been in since December last year. The industry knew that this is going to happen, but the way we look at it as NTSA, we do not go the way of crackdowns anymore. We want to engage the industry, consultation, and in fact we have facilitated many meetings within the industry themselves. We did in Nairobi on the 13th of this month, and the last place we did was on 20th of this month in Mombasa, to facilitate the industry to understand and appreciate the issue. And I'm very, very happy that most of the industry players are seeing the benefits. They actually be one of the biggest beneficiaries. The loss of revenue as a result of not being able to control how the money that is collected is dished out is one of the benefits. To the commuters themselves is a big benefit, because issues of varying the fares whenever they choose to will not be there. Fares will be predetermined in good time.
That is true.
And
Mr. Chairman, how many, very quickly as we wind up, how many public service vehicles in Nairobi, give or take roughly, have complied to this?
Well, it's a very small number. As I told you earlier on, we have a challenge because these service providers had not been licensed and they could not invest heavily. So we were doing test running, and because maybe the licenses could be with them now, I believe they would be able to import the gadgets to allow us. For us, we are ready like yesterday to get into this system because we know the benefits. The challenge here is the service providers.
Is that the only challenge?
That is the only challenge. That is the only challenge. And I'm sure
you do not have any issues with the awareness by the commuters.
You know, actually, awareness is so simple. It's not rocket science. This is an issue of getting a card, be registered using an ID, and then you don't buy the card. You just got to have money to load into the card. That's it. Then you enter into matatu. When it is swiped, there is a receipt that will be produced, and the receipt generated will show you how much has been taken and what is your balance and who has served you and which vehicle you are in. Okay. So simple.
Director General, yes. Very quickly, 30 seconds only. What's the way forward? When Kenyans wake up tomorrow and there is a crisis on the roads, what's the way forward?
I think the first thing we must appreciate is that this is a journey we are beginning. So we have to travel together. We will consult with the industry as much as possible. We will actually go out ourselves and take initiatives to actually educate the public and the commuters of the benefit of this apps. And I believe by working together we shall be able to succeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Thank you. I've been talking to Francis Meja, the Director General of the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, and of course the Chairman of the Matatu Owners Association, Simon Kimutai, as the country seeks to put in place this cashless public service vehicle pay system in place. Now to a story of determination and enduring spirit. It is a story of children in South Wajir who are going out of their way to get a very precious commodity, and that is education. Owing to poverty, their families cannot afford to pay their school fees. But as KTN's Sharon Momanyi now reports, the word impossible is simply not in their world.
It is a long, dusty and tiring walk for Farah Ibrahim, but one he has grown all too familiar with. He does not walk alone. Donkeys laden with firewood for sale are his regular company. At 23 years of age, the Form 4 student from Biadow, Wajir South, has been walking about 100 kilometers every weekend, selling firewood to get money for school fees since he was in class 4.
I was looking this firewood in order to pay our school fees because my father doesn't have a wealth.
Farah carries a small food basket and cooking pot on the donkeys to cater for the long journey. For him, this is the only way he can access education.
My uncle has paid first term and second term. And starting from third term up to Form 4, I myself, I paid.
And he is not alone. Salat, a class 8 pupil, is also in the business of selling firewood. They sell a bundle from one donkey at 700 shillings. But Farah and Salat are only two of scores of students in the pastoralist region who undergo a number of challenges, including poverty, food and water scarcity, and the perpetual insecurity in the region as they strive to get education.
I want to become an engineer.
Perhaps the reason why the far-flung region has been performing dismally in national examinations, save for few above-average performers. Farah Ibrahim should be finishing his university course, but even though he has to spend many hours out of school, he will at the end of the year sit for the same KCSE exam as the rest of candidates countrywide. For now, hard, unconventional chores such as the long-distance firewood trade may be the straws the children clutch as they seek to quench their thirst for education. Education that may just set them free from their despair. Sharma Mani, KTN.
You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us. Remember, immediately after this bulletin, our weekly crime series Case Files will air. And tonight, KTN's Dennis Onsarigo narrates the story of a British couple whose naked bodies were discovered in the thicket. The couple had fallen in love with Kenya but never lived to live in it. Here's what you can expect.
If somebody can kill Tony and Rita, then what of the other people that you might think that they're not the best?
Still the memories are still in our minds. We still see them, still see their picture.
Yule mzee alisema kwamba ni kizuri na akienda atanita iPhone.
The evidence cannot be by any means said to be watertight.
Remember to catch Case Files, that is at 10 p.m. immediately after KTN Prime. And to a reminder of a big question tonight, we are...
Every Monday we have forward-looking conversations about employment, about how to challenge you to move a step higher, about growth and advancement. That is what we seek to do here on KTN Job Center every Monday, same time. Now today we have an exciting topic, especially for those employed like myself. We're looking at how to negotiate. Just for a new job, how to negotiate for a raise, how to negotiate for a promotion. And as always, your regular segments are in this particular show, but also we have an exciting panel waiting. But before that, here's a story of Phyllis Nyaidho. Now, Phyllis successfully negotiated for a job. Listen in.
Now, the JD said this particular candidate must have a master's degree. And in the beginning, it was a push and pull, push and pull. We want someone with a master's degree. But we would, in our database, we have people with master's degree and do not have any experience. And I mean, if you don't have any experience and no industry experience, then you're as good as, for lack of a better word, worthless to the company, because companies or organizations look at people as, you know, money makers, for lack of a better word. So you come in there and they do not want to spend money on you most of the time. They just want you to come in, kick back, and just push things, right? So in the end, after the recruitment was done, we ended up hiring someone who had a diploma and was undertaking his bachelor's degree based on his experience and his industry knowledge. Right. So for me, at this stage, I would say, as much as you want to go forward and get your education, be that person who is practically mostly theory, you know, you're good at theory. If you don't have any experience, then there's only so much or so far you can go. the people who are looking for a job. Don't go out there and think you're the best. There's someone out there who probably has more than what you have. But at the end of the day, it's all about confidence. It's all about who you are. It's all about what you're bringing to the table for a particular employer.
All right, great. So it's not just about the qualifications you hold, it's also about what you're bringing to the table. And talking about the table, I have gentlemen who will be bringing a lot of wisdom to the table today. James Karundu is a motivational speaker and a trainer, and regular. Pamina Swenaina was a recruitment trainer. Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, you've heard that story before, as always, before you get into the meat of this. What do you make of such a situation, James?
I think she's quite right and quite pragmatic, and that's the reality on the ground.
Right.
That there's qualification, yes, but also it's about how you present yourself and what you put on the table. Yes.
All right.
I think for me, what I've been able to pick is, at the end of the day as a candidate, the issue of value addition.
Right.
What, beyond the qualifications, beyond the years of experience that you have, if you can be able to demonstrate value, you go a greater distance than even people who have much more than you. Yeah.
Now, here's the exciting thing about negotiating for a raise, for example, is that if today I negotiate for a raise and my employer doesn't think I deserve it, I remain in this organization.
Yes.
So, Paminas, take us through negotiating skills. How do we negotiate right for whatever, for a raise, for a promotion? How do we do it?
The number one thing to note is timing is everything.
Right.
For example, companies, they always come up with budgets at the end of the year to cater for the following year. So you don't have to wait until March so that you come to the negotiating table. So the earlier you start, the better, but also be very careful on the timing. If, for example, you also have a new boss, and the first item you present is the issue of salary, the raise, how far are you going to go?
Okay.
So timing for me, I believe, is everything. The other thing also is how prepared are you?
Correct.
You need to have facts. Yes. What have you been able to achieve in a certain period?
Right.
What improvements have you brought? If you can talk about it in terms of money, the better.
So you must have been doing something. James, let me just bring you in. You've obviously coached a lot of people who want to upgrade, who want to move from the position they are to better, or even just get a pay raise.
Yes.
What are some of the situations you encounter?
Well, the scenarios here usually are you've been doing this job, you're already good at it, and you are starting to outgrow it, and you're feeling you're adding value, and you're feeling it's time to go to the next level.
Right.
So typically the scenario here is that you must get the point, and it's a very simple point. You must do more to get paid more.
All right, Paminas, your boss disagrees. He says, oh, well, you don't deserve it. How do you walk into the office the next day?
It's a tricky issue,
right?
But I believe, like I pointed out, on the issue of preparedness, don't ambush the boss.
Okay.
And I can assure you, and as James has pointed out, if your performance has been good, no company wants to lose a worthy individual or employee for that matter. So I would say, yes, prepare yourself. Start working. It's a slow process.
All right.
Also. Yeah.
James,
don't come with demands.
James, how do you deal with a no? I mean, I present my case with PowerPoint presentation and all, and my boss says, no. Actually, you don't deserve this.
Well, obviously, for most bosses...
Or other employees get to know that you are in the boss's office trying to...
get a raise.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's all about attitude.
Right.
And, you've had the old saying, your attitude will determine your altitude.
Right.
So if you get a no, so what? The stock response most of the times will always be what?
Right.
No, hakuna pesa. So that's always the stock response.
Don't have that in
we
the
don't
budget.
have money, it's not in the budget.
Right.
So what you do is you go back and you retrace your step.
Right.
And you make a pitch another time.
Right, gentlemen, just hold on. Let me go to my wall a little bit here.
Yes.
And try to capture a lot of the things that you've been saying today.
Yes.
Now, we're trying to understand how exactly do you negotiate for this raise. Now, the first point is make a list of your specific accomplishments, like Wainaina was saying. If you have a master's, if you've been doing some bit of education on this side, if you've gained some skills, if you brought in a big client, then that's something you need to point at. Also, find out how your salary compares to others. I don't know exactly how you do this. I don't know if it's you peep into other people's pay slips, but you need to understand who earns what and compare to the kind of job they're doing. Also, consider negotiating benefits and perks. You're not just talking about your salary. We're talking about stock options, vacation, tuition exemptions, and things like that. Also, there's timing your pitch, as they've all said. Don't wait when we have a new boss, is when you bring all these issues about wanting to get ahead in your career. Also, and finally, approach the topic professionally. If indeed there is a no, gentlemen, you walk back in the office and life moves on. But gentlemen, as we just take this one landing, we've seen that, but then how do you negotiate with a new boss? Say you're getting a new job. How do you go about that?
The story is still the same, and it's always about the attitude.
Right.
But to me, it's the whole thing of negotiation, salary raise, and so on and so on.
Right.
It's about also how well you connect.
Right.
So the people skills for somebody who is looking for a raise and a promotion is key.
Right.
How you communicate and how you connect and how you show the value that you bring on the table.
Right.
Yes.
Prime Minister, this is a new job. You've never been there. You obviously want to upgrade from what you used to do. What is this thing you must have in your set of things that you are presenting?
The key thing here is research.
Right.
What do you research? Number one, what kind of an organization they are? Because different organizations pay different rates. If it's a multinational, they're definitely going to have a different rate compared to a small organization.
How exactly do you research?
Nowadays it's very easy.
None of my colleagues will tell me how much they earn.
No. Nowadays it's very easy. There are salary surveys which are published by HR firms.
Okay. Yeah.
You also, if you go to the job sites, you normally find employers nowadays, they are very generous with the information. They indicate for this job, we are willing to pay between this and this much. Yeah. So that is key. Research is key, because if you go to an interview room without any information in terms of salary, chances are you're going to not get a good deal.
Okay, gentlemen, finally, is there a rule of how much you may ask for in terms of a raise as we finish up, James? Can I just say I need 50%? Who determines what?
Permanence would be good to answer that, but generally speaking, you must always ask for more than you need.
Okay.
Yeah, you always shoot higher than what you're expecting, because there's always going to be room for negotiation. So always aim higher than what you're expecting.
Okay.
Nowadays, you're seeing employers ask for pay slips from previous employers.
Okay.
It's not a must that you must give, but what they want to determine actually is the actual pay that you're getting, because most employers will give you an increase of between 15% to 30%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the range which
I would say that is the range, yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much for making time and helping us understand. So now you're not just going to walk in the office and ask for 70% raise. That will not happen. But thank you so much, James Karundu and Prime Minister Wainaina, for making time. This has been KTN Job Center. This is business. Now, the country's economy grew by 4.1% in the first quarter of 2014 as compared to 5.2% growth a year earlier. Now, this is according to GDP estimates by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics. In the first quarter of 2014, there was relatively stable macroeconomic environment despite interest rates remaining comparatively high. Inflation rose moderately but was nevertheless contained at an average of 6.78% during the first quarter of 2014 compared to 4.08% in the same quarter of 2013. President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced that the construction of the port of Lamu will begin before the end of this year. Speaking at the port of Mombasa while presiding over the official launch of the Mombasa Port Community Charter, the President said that the implementation of the port project will involve the construction of 3 berths. The port of Lamu is an anchor facility to regional governments' Northern Corridor project. The Mombasa Port Community Charter is the deal signed between 25 organizations.
The Charter commits to the reduction of turnaround times on the Northern Corridor, the integration of all port community member systems into the Kenya National Electronic Single Window System, and the achievement of 70% cargo output through the Green Channel by 2016.
Now, next is the story that will get you inspired. Patricia Idao left L'Oreal's East Africa, the firm she helped build. Alleges Ngole spoke to her just before she hung up her boots.
It is 3 p.m. and the L'Oreal East Africa office is abuzz with activity as workers prepare to package and label more than 400,000 products that have been manufactured on this day. But 3 years ago, all this did not exist.
I started this organization. I'm employee number 1. I had nobody. Now we employ 273 people, permanent basis, and we have another 100 casuals coming in and out every day.
The journey began in 2011 when L'Oreal hired Patricia Idao to set up a subsidiary that would expand the group's activities in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Southern Sudan, and Ethiopia. To cement their position, L'Oreal East Africa acquired Interconsumer Products last year, which gave the firm access to a factory which it now uses to manufacture locally.
It allows us to be a significant player, not just from a size point of view, but from our ability to be in more Kenyan homes.
But while L'Oreal East Africa has enjoyed significant success in Kenya, the firm is stepping up its diversification plans into new markets like Zimbabwe, Malawi, Somalia, Somaliland, and Australia. And this, Patricia says, has presented its own unique set of challenges over the years.
The challenges we face actually is more when we want to get out of Kenya and trying to make sure your product is going to be accepted in a different market, or that you can sell in a different market. And again, it's navigating your way through those requirements. That is a challenge. Yeah.
And this is the base that Patricia leaves as she hands over to Belgian national Philippe Dave and she exits L'Oreal East Africa.
From a perspective of where the business is right now, perfect person to take the business to the next level.
Alleges Ngole, KTN Business.
Financial Report, brought to you by KCB Home Loans.
We got 105% mortgage from KCB.
It covered all our costs. Deposit, legal fees, duty, everything. We've seen an apartment, but go to KCB.